Good day, my name is Christel from Frans the Klerk, Independent Technical Analyst. Kwesi wanted us to look at the white maize price, and we can clearly see that this price is scored within a descending triangle. Now, a descending triangle can be seen as a positive formation when this upper band, waiting there around 3,128 Rand a ton, changes into a support. We can see it's been tested previously a couple of times, and there weren't enough buyers to lift the share above this trend line here. A strong support that has to remain in place on the white maize near graph is waiting at 2,528. When this level, and if this level changes into a resistance, we can see even a lot lower levels. We know the white maize price has been supported. It's a strong bullish engulfing candle. The big question is, will this instrument find enough buyers to lift it above that 3,128 Rand? You can use that as an entry level if you believe that the momentum to the top will continue. And remember, this is a weekly graph, so in theory, we should wait for that price to close above it on a Friday close and then enter the position on the Monday. But below this 2,528 Rand, we can maybe see lower levels on the white maize price. Klerk wanted us to look at WBHO, Wilson Bailey Homes. This share price was caught within an ascending triangle, and when that lower band changed into a resistance, waiting there at 136 Rand 17, the share price just plummeted to lower levels. Now the big question is, will it bounce, and how high will it bounce? But Klerk, I am concerned that this share might be building on a possible head and shoulder formation. We know there's a lack of spending and, recession. So technically, this share price has to change this level, waiting there around 121 Rand 95 into a support in order, and keep it a support in order to wipe the negativity off the table. Now, obviously, this is a weekly graph. It's a candle in the making. And this possible dragonfly candle tells me that there were buyers who bought this share in weakness. So if you believe and you like the company, then technically you should be able to buy this share above 106 Rand 28. Stop loss that you can use is 93 Rand. But remember, a dragonfly candle only gets confirmed when the next candle is a bullish candle. It can be a bullish engulfing candle, maybe even a bullish arami, but some indication that there is optimism and that there is buyer's interest. I am a bit concerned about the head and shoulder, but the share is nicely oversold. My stochastic has not broken upwards yet. It hasn't given me a divergence. So maybe it's not a bad idea to wait for confirmation in order to say that this is a possible dragonfly candle. Obviously, that 40-week moving average is a critical level that needs to change into a support, but this looks like almost a possible head and shoulder formation, so I would be a little bit hesitant. Tao wanted us to look at Rebosis, a share that plummeted to lower levels when that 40-week moving average changed into a resistance there around June 2017. But what is a bigger concern at the moment, Tao, is the fact that this bearish flag formation was confirmed. Now, a bearish flag formation is a continuation pattern. In other words, a rising channel with that lower band changed into a resistance. So when 37 cents changed into a resistance on a weekly close, this rising channel has confirmed this bearish flag formation, and that is seen as negative. Only above 37 cents will I feel a little bit more comfortable with Rebosis, but we know that a bearish flag is a continuation pattern. And what does that mean? It means in an overall downtrend, there's a little bit of a relief, a bit of a pause against the trend. But when this lower band changes into a resistance, the share just plummets to lower levels, and it can go a lot lower. A strong support that has to remain is obviously this level there around 26 cents. Below that, we will assume that the share can decline even further. Above 37 cents, sigh of relief, maybe confirmation, but technically I would wait for that 40-week moving average to change into a support, and that is waiting there around 42 cents. Above that 42 cents, I will feel a little bit more comfortable about this share, but below 26, cents more downside. Stephen wanted us to look at Astral Foods. We know that a lot of these food shares at the moment are trading at record lows. There are higher lows visible, which tells us that there might be opportunity to start to nibble on these food shares. Now, at the moment, what I love about this graph, Stephen, is the fact that this 40-week moving average was tested last week. The share went down as low as 177 Rand 40. It tested that red line, the 40-week moving average, and it managed to lift it to close above it. And that is seen maybe as a possible technical goodbye case. The share went to that level, it tested it, it could find enough buyers to lift it again above that level, and that is seen as positive. This week's Harame in the making tells me also with this longerish lower shadow that there are buyers that are buying the dips, and that is seen as positive. When will my next higher low be confirmed on Astral? Only above 204 Rand 42. If you want to preempt it, I would accumulate it at current levels. Stop loss that you can use is 178 Rand 12 cents. But if you want to wait for confirmation, which I normally do, is I would wait for this level there at around 204 Rand 97 to change into a support on a weekly close. But also take note here, Stephen, about this possible double bottom in the making on Astral. So when this neckline, this trend line, that horizontal line changes into a support, that double bottom will be confirmed. And that is waiting there around 204 Rand 50. That neckline, when that changes into a support, the possible target for this double bottom is the length of one of the legs projected upwards from where it will be confirmed, which means Astral can possibly go to 263 Rand and 80 cents. Now, we can see obviously in the week there at December 2019, the last 4 weeks of the year, the share tested that resistance there around 220 Rand 59 and could not change it into a support. So that is a strong level that needs to be overcome. In other words, there needs to be buyers that are prepared to accumulate the share on higher levels than that, because then that level will change into a support and you can see higher levels. It's coming from a very, very low base. We can see as well that there is a possible massive head and shoulder formation in the making here with a distorted right shoulder. So these levels should remain a support on the long term. But I would even use that 40-week moving average. I've said it time and time again. It's it's such a basic indicator to use to make sure above it, you can have a sigh of relief and be comfortable with the position, but below it on a weekly close, focus on it and make sure that the share does not break and change that into a resistance. Hannes wanted us to look at the Rand against the US dollar. Now there is a lot of, speculation, and had fantastic opportunities to maybe trade it, but there are two formations here that I want to highlight. And the one is this ascending triangle that is clearly visible on the Rand against the US dollar. Now, technically, that horizontal line is waiting at 15 Rand 46. If the Rand on a weekly close continues to consolidate above 15 Rand 46, this continuation pattern can take the Rand a lot weaker. But we can see this week it kept it a resistance, and the big question is, will it be able to keep 1546 a resistance until Friday? Because then we can see maybe the Rand back stronger, 1505, back to its 40-week moving average, 14 Rand and 71 cents. Now, we assume technically that as long as the Rand consolidates above that 40-week moving average, the weakening trend is in place. But I also, Hannes, want to highlight another possible formation that is in the making here, and that is a strong megaphone formation. Now, a megaphone formation is also known becomes a jaws of death when this lower band changes into a resistance. So you can count the amount of, levels that it ticked the trend line, so strong trend line at the bottom. So what a jaws of death, first a megaphone formation does, it's in an uptrend, it plays within this band, but when this lower level changes into a resistance, it just plummets to lower levels. And that is maybe a possibility for the rand if this lower band changes into resistance. It's early days still, but it can become possible when these levels around 1367, 1380 changes into a resistance. And if you look at the dollar index, there is a double top formation in it that can take the dollar a weaker, which means that we can maybe see a stronger rand. But on the short term, 15 Rand 46 is the level. Below it, we can see a stronger rand, but as soon as it starts to consolidate above 15.46, we can see a weaker rand against the US dollar.